and welcome to 9 to 42, the podcast from the team at the Guitar Show UK. Join us for interviews, updates and chat with artists, influencers and those that manufacture the gear that we love.
Hello and welcome to 9 to 42, which is the podcast from the guys at the Guitar Show UK, but more about that in coming episodes. Jace is at work, actually, in his work office.
I am.
With his inferior camera. How are you, Jace?
I'm very good. I've had some really good conversations this morning. So,
okay. What? Show conversations?
Show conversations. 2 bookings that I can't say anything about just yet. But yeah, very good.
You do look rather smug. You look rather impressed with yourself, actually.
One of them I have been working on for 5 years.
Wow. Oh, well, that's a thing then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hence the reason why you look a little bit smug.
Yes.
And we're back, aren't we? We're back for... What series is this? Series 4?
4, I think.
Series 4,
yeah.
Series 4. And we're, having made such a terrible job of the last couple of series of actually stopping and starting, we've actually recorded a whole load of things already, haven't we?
6 so far, isn't it?
I think it very well may be 6 so far, which is unusual for us. But the only thing I would say about having recorded so many ahead is that we've done them over the course of the last 4 or 5 months.
Yes.
So some of the references in some of the chats might be a bit dated.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And without listening, until we listen back to them, I'm not quite sure. I mean, not to the point of the Queen's still dead. It's not that kind of dated, is it?
No.
But you know what I mean. There might be a few weeks out. Like at one point, I don't know whether we actually discussed who was going to win the Test series, but we now know that India got a draw, don't we? So
we do.
Though I don't think that came up in conversation.
No, I don't think it did.
No, it didn't. The first one, today's is a very special one because this is one I did. I happened to find myself sleeping 2 chalets across from Nick Beggs.
Yes, you dropped me a text and went, I'm sleeping 2 chalets across from Nick Beggs, which leads to a million questions anyway. But then you were like, he said I can interview him. Do you mind if you're not there? And I was like, no, because we're probably never going to get the chance to chat with Nick Beggs again. So
no.
Go for it.
Which I did. And it'll be explained in the course of the chat why I was stopping 2 doors across from Nick Beggs, and we'll cover all of that. So by the time you get to the end of it, you'll understand all the reasons why. But it's a fascinating chat, and it doesn't necessarily go in the direction that we normally go in.
No, it really doesn't. Having listened to it again this morning before we recorded this, you have to explain the swans, or the swan, to me.
Right, okay. Well, tell you what, I'll explain the swan to you now, so everybody who listens... where we found ourselves at, which was a Center Parcs in the Netherlands, was on the edge of a lake.
It's the most middle-class thing you've ever heard.
I know. And the first morning when I came down to, or I got up, went to put the kettle on, and I was staying in a chalet with people that I'd met for the first time while I was there, and I went to open the curtain, and there was a swan there that terrified me because this swan must have been 3 to 4 feet tall. It was the biggest swan I've ever seen, and it was, and swans are evil. They're evil fuckers anyway. And this one just looked like it meant business. And so every time you opened the curtains, it was there. It sensed when you were awake, and it came and it eyeballed you. But if you looked at the window. On the window, there's chunks out of this window where the swan tapped its beak in a very aggressive way. So, all those stories when you were a kid, those kind of ghost story things about, you heard the tapping on the window, tap, 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 and it turns out that it's a murderer who's tapping somebody's head or what have you. In my case, it was a swan. It was a deranged The Shining's version of... If Jack Nicholson had been a swan, right, that's the swan it would have been.
Okay.
But everybody knew this. So everybody who came to this event for the first time and encountered one of these swans for the first time had the same reaction that I had. But if you'd been before, you knew about the swans.
Okay.
So that was the swan thing, but you kind of had to be there for that. I'll send you a picture. I've got a picture. He was really terrifying. I mean, quite, to the point where, and I don't know where it's gone, but somebody crocheted me a swan. Oh, hang on.
This doesn't work on a podcast, showing me a swan.
Somebody crocheted me a swan because they knew I was terrified of swans. So she crocheted me a swan. So I have a crocheted swan now, which sits on one of my speakers as a kind of as a therapy thing. Anyway, shall we?
Yes.
Shall we stop this nonsense and go to the chat?
Go to the chat.
Right. Okay. So the next voices you're going to hear are mine and Nick's, and this was recorded for context. This was recorded back in the first week of March.
So I'm here with Nick Beggs, and it's all a bit surreal because we're in a kitchen in a chalet at Center Parcs in the Netherlands. Nick, why are we at Center Parcs in the Netherlands?
It's the Marillion weekend.
It is the Marillion weekend.
Yeah, and this is my first one, and it's great to be here. It's always great to see the band, and the audience obviously are enraptured every night with the gems that they're giving them. It's amazing what they do, isn't it? Because they've got one chance to get it right each night. You've got like a 2.5 hour set, which they've got 3 2.5 hour, or is it 4?
It's 3.
3 2.5 hour sets with one chance of getting it right. And obviously, sometimes things go wrong. And last night something went wrong, and the audience loved it. It made it really real. It was fantastic because H just is a master of dealing with anything on stage. And I think if they practiced that, it couldn't have gone better.
No, and I'd said it to somebody, which must be really weird as a musician because they're doing 3 gigs and the set's completely different. They're doing 3 first nights, and I guess, and I've never toured, but you can probably help me with this. I guess the way a tour works, you do those first couple of nights and you shake the wrinkles out, and then by 3 or 4 nights in, you're really getting quite comfortable. Yeah. And then I guess the fear then is when you get to 15 nights, are you getting a little bit autopilot?
But they're also filming it, so all of the wrinkles are being saved for the post-mortem. Look what you did there. Yeah, it's a first night, 3 nights in a row. That's pretty terrifying. But they've played all of that stuff before. They wrote that stuff, so I should imagine it's like going down the gym and just exercising some muscle groups you haven't integrated for a while.
I've talked to H about it, and he said that's the thing. It's the muscle memory. You're waiting for the muscle memory to kick in a little bit, and obviously that's going to be difficult if it's a one shot. I mean, they're going to play the same weekends at numerous other locations, so they are going to play those first nights for a second night and a third night. So they will get to that stage. But obviously here it's
they're curating an exhibition,
right?
That's what they're doing because as you so rightly say, they're taking this around the world. I mean, it's an installation for people to come and wonder at.
I've not thought about it like that. That's really quite fascinating, actually. I quite like that. So what do you think of here? Because it's my first time as well.
Honestly, it's what I expected.
Right.
I mean, it's a very civilized type of living over here in the Netherlands. I mean, I love the Dutch. They've got the European sensitivity, which is wonderful, which we all identify with. And most of us do. And there's a welcome in the hillside, or should I say, in the lowlands. It's great.
No, I'm really enjoying it because you're doing. I mean, obviously, there's a great community thing here. You've got 3,000-ish Marillion fans here. So everywhere you turn, I mean, it's kind of strange that it's Marillion playing on the PA everywhere you go.
Yeah.
So it is that whole community thing of it. It is a shared experience. It's a shared love. You don't have to find your people. Your people are literally living either side of you and down the road. But you're doing Cruise to the Edge, aren't you?
Yes, I mean, I should probably qualify the fact that I'm here at all is as a guest with my daughters, the Beggs sisters. They offered very graciously for my daughters to open for them on various shows over the years, and they've been great champions of the project. And I thought it was a good opportunity to give the prog community something a little bit different, actually, because I'm known for pop and prog, really. But this is Emoto folk. It's something quite different, although it kind of, I'm involved, I suppose it gives it that prog legitimacy. But they are the artist. My daughters are the artist. I'm playing a supporting role to them. And all power to the audience. They've really embraced it. Obviously got a very open mind about music.
Yeah, and I came along and caught the set yesterday, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Thoroughly enjoyed. And the dynamic between the three of you on stage as well is really, really nice. That you did a couple of dad bits, which I thought were beautiful, where you kind of stopped and said, no, just tell everybody about that in that kind of dad way, and a wonderful story about when your eldest daughter found out that she was going to have a sister, which was very, very amusing. I thought that was great, but the really nice thing is that family unit, because actually it's probably quite an unusual family unit to get on a stage. We're used to seeing brothers and sisters and things on stages, but that kind of family unit on stage is probably fair. I don't know if I can think of another version of.
Well, they're both my daughters, but they have different mothers.
Right.
My eldest daughter was from my first marriage, and my youngest daughter is from my current marriage, and obviously divorce is difficult on anybody, particularly on the children. And I tried to work it that my eldest daughter would be, the damage would be as minimal as possible. And I really felt that this was my raison d'etre during those years, that I had to be present. So I took a job as an A&R man, because I wanted it to be off the road and I wanted to be home to help raise the family. But that didn't save the marriage. It seemed the more time I was with my wife, the more and also I think the parenting styles were very different, and that created a lot of friction, amongst other things. So spool forward 33 years to be with her now in a project with her younger sister is something rather completist about that. I like it very much. And if I could have known that when I was going through the angst of that divorce, I would have taken a tremendous amount of solace.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't know these things are going to work out in the end, do you, when you're living through them?
No.
Which is always... Yeah, that's always the challenge of it. But it was beautiful. I loved the material. I thought the material was great. I'm a fan of a band called the Piercers, and there was elements of that I was hearing. And I think and I don't know where you sit. I mean, obviously, I try not to put myself into a box when it comes to music, but I'm not really a prog person. So I'm a big Marillion fan, but I'm not really a prog guy. So most of my stuff is in different places. So
well, I always take issue with really the moniker of prog. I don't think Marillion are prog.
No, I don't think they are at all.
I think they're kind of world music, kind of rock, pop, world music. They touch all kinds of elements. It's like when people used to ask Frank Zappa if he was prog, and he'd say sometimes. Yeah. Because really, we shouldn't be pigeonholing music all the time. We should be listening to everything. I think that's my opinion on that.
Oh, I totally agree. I'm a huge Jason Isbell fan, and there's a song on his last album called Miles, which you could say, well, that's a prog tune. A couple of signature changes, a couple of time changes and shifts and what have you, and you could put it in that classic kind of prog bucket. But Jason Isbell's not prog. No. No way round of getting to that. But the fact that song took him there, and the song takes you wherever, and you do right by the material. Yeah. And what it ends up being. And I think for most audiences, they just accept that and they go with it.
I think in the 70s, it was a new demographic was formulated, and it was okay then. But it wasn't called prog then; it was called progressive rock, and that's okay. There's a risk though with a lot of the new prog bands that are coming up. They listen to the same things. They're in an echo chamber, and you can tell. And I think we all need to be aware of that. We shouldn't be reading the same things all the time. Our reading material should be and looking at different things and listening to different things. Otherwise, it becomes a little bit grey and repetitive. That's another one of my controversial thoughts.
Well, see, I'm a bit concerned now because I'm with you on all your controversial thoughts. I don't know where that's putting me, but let's close the Marillion loop off. So you Dept, you kind of did this because you did a Cruise to the Edge with Marillion, which was the same thing, of multiple gigs. So you've been through what they're going through here of doing 3 first nights, effectively.
Yeah.
I don't know if you did 2 or 3 gigs.
We did 2. We did about 5 days of rehearsals at their studios, and when I look back to the fact that they called me up out of the blue and asked me to do it, and I just said yes, there was my inner voice saying, "Why are you doing this? This is extraordinarily difficult. You're really putting yourself on the line here." And the answer was because I really like them. They're good friends. And I could see they were really in a difficult situation. I genuinely wanted to help them. But on top of that, I thought, I will come out of this a better player. Because Pete's playing is very harmonically interesting. And it informed an aspect of my technique and improved a bit of what I do. So it was educational as well.
And there's a thing about Marillion. As I say, there's a wide community out there, and they've got a lot of fans worldwide. And but there is that thing about there's a really nice inner family in Marillion that is very warm and genuinely a beautiful set of people. And it's a privilege actually to be included in that. In whatever way you enter into it, it's a privilege to be included in it.
Well, I think you've hit something else on the nail on the head with that, and that is that I missed being a part of a family ensemble, a situation where I had a band that was mine, that I curated, and that I felt, welcome in and a part of. And for that short period of time, I got a glimpse of that again, which was also a wonderful thing.
Yeah. And it's not without its ups and downs. The one thing about that kind of thing is you get slight bits of melodrama and this, that, and the other, and there's everything that goes on in a family dynamic.
That's humanity.
Exactly. But there is also something reassuring about stepping into that as well.
Yeah.
It does ground you, and it does. Yeah. I think it is a nice thing to be. So let's go all the way back. Then you mentioned bands there. Let's go all the way back. So most people will know you originally for Kajagoogoo. That's the kick-off point.
Well, it's still the biggest thing I've been involved with.
Yeah.
I started my career with a number 1. I talk about mixed blessings, and then of course there were personnel issues, which was also very difficult to navigate. So I've actually lived my career coming away from the epicenter of Kajagoogoo for the past 42 years, and had to negotiate all of the existential aspects of that, trying to reinvent oneself, working out whether this was really going to be a credible career for me. And it's all I ever wanted to do. I knew it in a sort of a very profound way. It was the only reason that I'm alive is to be a musician. Now, maybe that's programming, but I also believe that if I believe that, then I'll actually be able to manifest that in real time. So I worked on it from that perspective. I had to learn to read music. Because when I was in Kajagoogoo, I couldn't have told you the difference between a major or a minor scale. Yeah. So I had to go back to the engine room of it all and educate myself, and taking on the wild card of being a member of Marillion for 2 shows. You've got to take the chances if you're going to be good enough. Get yourself in the gym, so to speak.
Yeah. So, and the thing I found, there's a lot of things I'm fascinated about, because I'm fascinated by the Kajagoogoo thing, and then the fact that you return to Kajagoogoo later on. So I'd like to touch on that. But is there a moment when, like you say, the first single goes to number one, and actually, realistically, the way it works, that's not supposed to happen, is it? Because you almost need those maybe that first album, maybe those first tours, just to get used to the idea of being in a band and being a pro musician, or is it? Did it make perfect sense to you at the time?
Hindsight is 20/20 vision. You can never account for what's going to happen. You can plan for things to happen. You can try and make it as fail-safe as you possibly can. I mean, you couldn't turn around to Frankie Goes to Hollywood and say your first 3 singles shouldn't go to number one.
No.
That's what defined their career. Those 3 singles and that album actually was a musical revolution for ZTT and Trevor Horn's whole oeuvre. But as for us, I remember thinking, we've got a major record label behind us. We've got all of the technical support from an overseas pressing plant, so we can get enough product into the shops. It was a military operation.
Yeah.
And of course, we were they leveled hype and manufactured and all the stuff at us at the time, because we were still in the tail of punk. We were in the comet tail of punk, so there was this sort of revolutionary thinking on the streets, and we were seen as Thatcherite pop, even though we didn't have any of those leanings. We just would have been grateful with the number 32.
Yeah.
But it went in at number 32 the first week, and then I'm talking to the press people and the radio people in EMI, and they're saying it's going to be number one. It's selling so much.
Yeah.
I said, oh my God, what are we going to do? And they wanted to edit the intro of the song shorter because they thought it was too long. And then suddenly all the DJs are talking over it, and DJs love talking over records. Yeah. So there was a serendipity to the whole thing. But unfortunately it was time locked because the chemicals within it were so volatile that it couldn't last. So really, you can try and attenuate for every situation, but you never will. You've got to just go with it. And if the project's strong enough, it'll survive. And if it's not, it'll fall apart.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Mm. But of course, at that point, you're not even thinking that far ahead, I guess. You're riding that wave.
Yeah.
Because that's all you can do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just hang on. That's all you can do, I guess, when that's...
And that's before you even get to your most valued commodity, songs.
Yeah.
You've got 20 years to write your first album. You've got 6 months to write your second album, and so forth, third album, what have you. So you can't be so ponderous about the material. You have to either get it right first time or a fraction of it right first time. I think in some, we were really, when I look back to it, things went quite well. We had 5 top 20 hits across 2 albums. Now, that's quite extraordinary. Mm. And that was with me singing 2 of those. And where we dropped the ball was we left too much time between the 6th single. The 5th single. The 5th single. If we'd been quicker off the gun, we probably could have weathered the storm. Somebody said to me the other day, do you regret sacking Limahl? And honestly, my only response to that was, if he hadn't been sacked, somebody would have served a custodial sentence, because things were so bad. It was untenable. And that's not why we got involved in the music industry, to fight. We got involved to make music that we wanted to play, and to be professional. So there's a lot tied up in that, what I've just said.
Yeah, and I was going to say, you said about the gap between the singles and maybe you could have weathered it. Would that weathering of being with the personality difficulties, or would have that weathering of being with those changes, i.e. was that split always going to happen?
Yeah.
And you would have just managed commercially, you could have plotted a commercial route while you regrouped?
I think that it would have required such paradigm shifts from all of us that it would have been a bridge too far.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. Maybe if I think back to it, I might have been more sympathetic to Lamar's demands, because I was the other principal writer.
Yeah.
But he wanted to freeze the other guys out from the writing splits and split the songs with me. And I said to him, you can't do that.
No.
You came into this band as an unknown. We worked this up together. You knew what we were asking of you. And yet now we've sold 3 million records. You're saying you want to be the prime writer.
Yeah.
Not only that, we didn't trust his ability to write a song on his own. And that going hand in hand with so many other demands that had happened. We'd had a number 5 in America. We were about to get on a plane and go to America and do a tour for the first time. And he turned around and he said, I'm not getting on a tour bus. You have to fly me everywhere. And the management came to me and said, it's either him or me. I'm not staying any longer. I can't deal with him anymore. And we all sat down, and we were writing Big Apple at the time. We were sitting in the studio, and he wouldn't come. He wouldn't come to the studio. And we just looked at each other, and we were utterly miserable. I said, I don't care how many fucking records we've sold. If we have to work with that guy, it's going to be something really bad's going to happen. Because he didn't listen to good advice. He was insecure and tried to overcompensate for everything he did. And he just destroyed it. So when he went, it was, how are we going to regroup now? And it's what Marillion went through with Fish.
Absolutely.
And I told that story on stage about being signatory on their contract to EMI. All of those stories, even though it's done with tongue-in-cheek, it's a true story, you know. And both those bands had to work out how they were going to reinvent themselves. We did it for maybe one album, but they've done it for God knows how many albums have they had out?
Oh, it's 19, 20.
Lord.
And they've done 4 with Fish. And I'm going to be hounded for getting the album number wrong by everybody, because obviously, and for the people who are listening, I also do a podcast with Steve Hogarth, Marillion's lead singer, so I've a whole community of Steve Hogarth listeners are going to pan me for not knowing how many albums, but the point is it's a lot. And so yes, they've managed to do that thing. But I think in Marillion's case, what happened was they found a friendship straight away.
Yes, and that's so important. The other great irony is that I tell another story with the girls about taking H to the audition for Marillion, and it's true. I did. I saw him in Richmond. I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm supposed to be going to audition for Marillion." And he said, "I'm running late." So I said, "Okay, get in the car." And so there's this strange sort of interwoven.
Yeah, you're interlocked with this.
We really are. I mean, even going right back with Fish, we were hanging out and doing the same gigs and seeing each other and knew them, and there's very strange parallel dimensions going on there.
You just feel part of this. I mean, the first time we spoke, this is the second time Nick and I have spoken, and we spoke when you were on Cruise to the Edge, because Steve and I were recording, and I don't think we could keep you out the room whether we'd have wanted to or not. You were just there, but we had the most wonderful chat, and actually quite different to this. Actually, that was it was a lot more light-hearted kind of thing.
Apologies if I'm getting a little bit too existential.
No, you're not. You're not at all. It was just the last time we did this. It wasn't quite like.
Well, that's Steve's disposition. He's very light, isn't he?
He is, and he's also got a glint in his eye. So if there's anything that can be
bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yes, if he can be playful. Because the rest of the band can be a little bit more austere or a little bit more serious.
Right.
And H hasn't got that at all.
No,
He's absolutely got that twinkle. So we did that. We had a lovely chat, and obviously, and this is the first time we've had time to sit down and explore this in a bit more, in a bit more detail. So, I mean, and I get that point of it might have regrouped, it might have worked, but for whatever reason you didn't have the time. The timings weren't right. You didn't have.
We tried.
Yeah,
we tried 3 times to regroup with him because the battle lines were drawn many times, and at the end it was the last straw. We thought we can't keep on like this, and that was been the biggest thing I've done. So I've had to reinvent myself. Now, if I may say, the success in that is that I've managed to make a career as a musician after that, which is in many respects quite unusual. Not many people do it.
No, and you are, and I think the thing is when I speak to people, because through things like the guitar show and through the Marillion things and what have you, you do talk to people, and I'm in a lovely position, privileged position where I get to talk to people, and when your name comes up, your name, as much as you said, Kajagoogoo is the biggest thing I've ever done. That's never. I hear people talking about you, and the reference points are all about you as a musician, are all about what you do.
Yeah.
So in my head, I almost have to remind myself to go, because let's face it, when Kajagoogoo was what, 83?
83, yeah.
I was 12, and and you can't have been very old.
It's 21.
Yeah. So we're talking about a crazy time, a great time in music. To be fair, a wonderful few years actually. Those years.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, it came with lots of blessings, but it's like everything. There's black and white to every situation. It's not one thing or the other.
But I think you've done that thing where you've, as I say, everybody talks about you as a musician. I'm not even going to say bass player. That I am going to say musician, because I don't. There's a lot of times when, as I say, your names come into conversation, it's musician rather than bass player, which is also actually quite fascinating.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because obviously, I'm known as being a bass player, but I'm also a songwriter and a singer, and I started playing drums, but then I played the Chapman stick, and I also played guitar for Steve Hackett. Another exponential learning curve, So I would rather be known as a musician, singer-songwriter than anything else. And on the journey that I'm on, I think there's still a huge amount of work to be done in that area on my behalf. I want to explore that a lot more.
That's, if it's any help, that's what's, in my experience, that's what when those conversations come up.
That's heartening.
That's what I kind of, that's what I...
Thank you for telling me that. It's made me feel good.
it's an absolute pleasure. But then before we go past all the things you do, you draw as well.
Well, I trained initially as an illustrator. That was my career path. And my mother was alive. Academia is everything, isn't it, really?
Yes.
When you're at school. During the 70s, academia is everything, and sports and art are secondary. Well, I was terrible at sports, and I was terrible at academia. In fact, they thought I was dyslexic, and I may be on the spectrum. In fact, I'm going through a neurodivergent analysis at the minute for possibly being autistic. But I was always top of the school at art. From the first year till the last year, I got the prize, which is weird, don't you think?
No, not particularly.
It felt very weird to me.
I'm sorry. That sounds an awful thing to say. I'm sorry for talking across you. My son, who's 12, and does animation and creates his own comics, and has done from a very, very, very early age. So there's bits about Jack when I'm talking to you, I just recognise, which is why I don't find it necessarily odd. It's an expression point.
I suppose. Well, then divergent, possibly.
Right. Yeah,
because that's the more politically correct parlance
yes.
now. Because we understand more about autism, we understand more about bipolar and ADHD and all the other syndromes which have come onto the map. Having said all of that, back in the 70s, I just thought I was an alien. In fact, I think I might still be.
Yeah, but I actually wonder whether that's, with everything we've got now and the ability to diagnose to an nth degree and a slightly different label, whether being an alien's perhaps just a better way of looking at it, bizarrely.
Yeah.
I appreciate there's the otherness of it, but actually there's something refreshingly, about that kind of description. I mean, with it's interesting with Jack. We've never thought about any kind of diagnosis for Jack because he's a perfectly happy. I just know that he's not the same character as his brother. Mm-hmm. I know he doesn't like a lot of loud noises. I know
that's part of it.
I know he doesn't like change, and he has to have the things around him to anchor him.
Yeah.
But there's nothing about his behaviour that doesn't mean that he's just perfectly happy going around doing the things. And the interesting thing was, when he left junior school, junior school, at the end of that period, he got the award for the child that most embodied the values of the junior school.
Huh.
And when they announced it, and as they were describing what it was, and I thought, that's my son. That's my son they're talking about. And he had no idea. At the point when they announced his name, he had no idea. But by doing his own thing, the rest of the world has understood it and folded around it and recognised it for what it is, which is beautiful. And maybe that's just something that kids do that maybe we get very bad at as we get older.
Yeah.
And kids just accept things for what they are.
Yeah. I told Howard Jones about this situation that I was experiencing, and he was defensive of me, which was rather sweet. He said, "Why are you allowing people to put a label on you?" And I said, "Well, actually, I'm trying to do it for my family. I'm trying to give them somewhere to go with very strange behaviour on occasions. And also it helped me moderate myself more and understand. So it was a completion, again, of something which had been a question mark for many years. And having been on that journey, I'm perfectly happy to accept what the findings are. Even if they say, no, you're not. I doubt that will be the case, though.
Yeah. I think the understanding for yourself is really interesting and really important, because I guess when you have that level of awareness, then you have questions and you just want to understand.
Yeah.
You know, what is firing through those neurons? What's happening? How can I? Why is it that my experience or the way I think is slightly different to some of the people that I see around me? And I absolutely get that. I think the other thing that's lovely about what Howard said is, and I would have said the same thing to you. Yeah, well, you're just Nick. You're Nick, and you know, and I feel a connection to you. And this is only the first real time we've sat and chatted. We've chatted on a screen.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
But I think how wonderful is that?
Thank you.
That those things can happen. So it is a difficult one, and actually, this really has made me think about, you know, everything that's wrapped up in my youngest son.
Yeah, honestly, it's a revelation to me, and my wife brought it to my attention, because otherwise I would have just rattled on as normal, you know. And you're absolutely right. The personification of that's just Nick, or what's your son's name?
Jack.
That's just Jack, you know. Okay, that's a coping mechanism. Yeah. The realities of people's lives are quite different. Some people have this to really extreme levels.
Yes, no, I get that.
Where there's a dysfunctionality connected to it. And if I may be so bold, there is an element of dysfunctionality to me. I have to go away and be on my own. I'm a neat freak. I drive the family crazy with smells. I can't deal with smells in the house. Everything has to be a certain way. So what they've done is they've learned to acquiesce to enable me to run the house in a way that I feel comfortable with. Yeah. Now, that's kind of not really fair to make them live under my regime. And understanding why I do that, I think it's got to be a mark of my love for them to try not to, or to ameliorate those situations.
Yes. Though I would also say, because we have in our house, you know, the kind of mantra is it's Jack's house, and we all fold around a little bit, and we do it that's a slightly tongue-in-cheek way. But what it means is there are certain things that Jack feels more comfortable with, so we go with that, because that he's more important to him than it is to the rest of us, if that makes sense. And in that respect for you, then I get it, but I wouldn't beat yourself up about it, because in reality, everybody just wants a space where everybody's comfortable. Yeah. And if in our case, it's if Jack is comfortable and he's happy, and the things around him are the things he needs, the rest of the family unit works so much better. So we just again, it's almost a little bit light touch, I guess. I'm in that space of thinking, should we be thinking about any form of diagnosis for Jack? But because he's so fine, and I see it as a little bit of something, not a big bit of something, then it's like, well, actually, we can work this out. But the interesting quandary is, if I knew more, would I do things differently? And I guess at points in time, that's where you look and you go, no, this is not working. This is now more dysfunctional than it needs to be. I need more information to help make it better. Whereas at the moment, we're kind of finding our way through. And we'll just wait and see if something comes along that we can't cope with as a
Well, if you
family
need
group.
to talk more about this, just call me any time, because I've been through quite a lot with it, and there's a lot of processes involved, and there is some things you can do to get the ball rolling, and also to answer some of your own questions, which does help, actually. I think the family all just went, now we get it. Suddenly somebody put the bifocals on them, on all of us, and that's clarity of vision. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, and I'm hearing that, which is anyway. Let's move on to something a little bit. Let's get back to some music.
Okay.
So talk me through the other, because you've said there, you said at one point the Marillion thing is great because you miss being in the band. Clearly, Kajagoogoo as a thing meant a lot to you. You can tell by the way you talk about it, and obviously the things you've dropped in. But you've gone away and you've done other things. You've done other interesting things. You've worked with a lot of different people. Is the band thing still the thing? Is that the one unfinished piece of business? Would you like to spend the next 10 years in a collective, or are you accepting the fact now that moment's passed?
Yes and no. In all things in life, there's a yes and no for everything, I think. Howard Jones offers me the opportunity to reform Kajagoogoo every year and support him in America. And I would tell him no. I said to him, I don't want to bring that kind of problem into your world. I have no desire to go back to something that was so dysfunctional and that served its purpose, and that we tried to redo, we tried to regroup, and all the same problems were there.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I'm sad for that. It doesn't mean that I will always have to give myself a serious talking to when it comes to beating myself up for my part in the failure of it. Because in a band, everybody brings their foibles, even if there's a main protagonist. I would, however, love at some point to be a part of a functioning, successful ensemble. And I don't know whether that will ever happen, because touring has become so difficult. All the political things that have happened over the past decade, the financial ramifications of it, make it really untenable. So you're only dealing with legacy artists or new bands that are forging ahead with great success. The chances of me doing that are very, very unlikely. Yeah. My spaceship has crash-landed on Mars and I've got no way of getting home. So I have to make do with what I have. So what can I do? I can look around and I go, oh yeah, I can write a song with that. I've got these platforms I can put material out on. I'm managing myself as an artist. So, it's about promoting, self-promotion. And I get bored very quickly. So I want to be doing lots of different things all the time. Howard Jones has told me that he wants me in his band forever. And he's pissed off with me that I'm going away with Stephen Wilson. And he said, but you're going with my blessing. But when you're ready, just come back. And I don't underestimate the value of something like that. No. Steve Hackett kind of said the same thing to me. And that's lovely, so lovely. But I've got to do, there's something I've got to do, and I don't know what it is yet. I'm still trying to work it out. In the words of that song, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. It's a perennial journey. And David Bowie always said, working for other people is a kind of halfway mark. If you work for yourself, you'll find out more about who you really are. So I know that I've got to keep on writing my own material while working with other people, because one hand feeds the other. Left and right working together all the time.
And in looking at you and as you answer those questions, because it is fascinating. We do a lot of these things over Zoom, and it isn't the same. It's not that they don't work out, and as a piece of audio, it works fine, and the quality's all right, and those, but it's not the same as sitting somebody across and watching the mannerisms and everything as they talk. And I'm kind of sat here almost, ready to scream at you and say, Nick, just do it. Just do it. Everything's there. You've made your mind up. It's all there.
Yeah.
The Nick Beggs, whatever, or whatever you did it. It's the merest touches required because I think you've got everything that you need.
Maybe, but you see, I think that the right germs have to be put in the watch glass.
And
I mean, I've got these lovely projects. I'm working with my daughters. Who wouldn't give their
yes, and that's
right
a beautiful
arm to
thing.
It really is a blessing. I don't know how long that will go on for. I hope forever. I've got Trifecta. I love Trifecta, even though my wife says it's the worst music she's ever heard. I love it. And we're going to be doing the cruise as well with the girls. And then I'm working with Stephen Wilson. These are all wonderful things for a musician to be doing. And also, they've just been touring with Howard Jones. What a lucky guy am I. Having said all of this, something is missing from this picture, and I don't know what it is yet. I'll get back to you.
Well, and do you know what a great place to finish, because wow, I really enjoyed it. And we haven't talked about Stephen Wilson, and we haven't talked about Steve Hackett, and we haven't talked about Howard Jones, but I don't, it's almost that doesn't kind of matter, because that's who you are, that's what you do, Nick Beggs is that person that is trusted by a lot of people who could have whoever they wanted. And that's a real mark of who you are. I want to hear about the next bit. That's the thing that's going to be really, it's going to be really interesting.
It might be an epic fail, but I've still got to do it.
Okay. And I guess
I've got to face that down. I've got to take the chance, because there's huge amounts of chance involved in it.
Yes.
I mean, look what Marillion do on these weekends.
Yeah.
Oh my God! If the fans knew the capital investment those guys have to put into every single one of these things just to make it work, it's utterly terrifying. I think I'd just have constant irritable bowel syndrome from morning to night time if I was in their situation. But they get up and they make it work, because the thing that's made them so successful is not just the chemistry between them and the songs they've written. They have great business acumen.
Yeah.
They've revolutionised the music industry.
Yeah.
I mean, there would be no GoFundMe if it wasn't for them. And this whole thing of these Marillion weekends, they do it for the fans. And they are engaged and they care. It's a wonderful cottage industry.
Which, to be fair, is how you speak to Steve Rodden and he'll say, what do you think of our little cottage industry? And that's the first thing they says. But the problem with that as a phrase is they play down the enormity of what they've done, because it has changed the industry without a shadow of a doubt. But I think, if anything, that, from your perspective, that's just empowering. I don't see that as scary. I see that, maybe it's because it's not me. Maybe because I'm not going to be signing anything.
Yes,
and it's absolutely it's you that's got to go there.
Yes, and actually, it has been a perfect metaphor for me watching them over the years, thinking, well, look, they're brave enough, but they have the power of the group. You see, and the power of the group is all powerful. When you're standing on your own, looking at the massive Gobi Desert that you've got to traverse, it's a slightly different feeling. And so you've got to find a strength from somewhere else that's kind of maybe just foolhardy or blind faith,
But then maybe that's just the only thing you're missing, is that
maybe
that it's the collective that you need, the success or and let's face it, success isn't an absolute. It's not binary. It's a shade of grey anyway.
Yeah.
So forget the success to a certain extent. Maybe what you need to complete your journey is just that collective.
Yeah.
And the fact of putting that together will actually give you what you need, and success will fall.
It could be.
Whether it doesn't.
Yeah.
Nick, it's been lovely. Really, really nice to be sat in a kitchen in a chalet in the Netherlands. You're looking out over
I've got a beautiful view.
You've got a beautiful view.
I was hoping your swan was going to turn up.
Yes. I'll have to explain when I'm talking to Jason about the swan. But it's been great to talk to you. And do you know what? come back and talk to us. Come back in the future.
Okay.
Tell us what you're doing.
Let's do that.
It'd be wonderful to do that.
Fabulous.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Well, there you go. That was Nick Beggs. He is a fantastic chap.
Yeah.
He really is.
I wish I was there now.
Well, I'm hoping at some point that he might come to the guitar show because he's just one of those people. I've met him a couple of times now, and he's just one of those people that you can't help but really, really like. And prodigiously talented, if I could even say that.
Yes. I hadn't realised he played guitar as well.
And when you have a look through his discography, you'll realise how many things he's played on. I mean, it's phenomenal where he floated around and this, that and the other. But yes, that was Nick. We said before, we've got quite a few of these set up. You're going to have to remind me who we've spoken to so far. But you can have a bit of for the first time ever, you can have an idea of what you've got coming.
So we have Ben Crow from Crimson Guitars, Daisy Pepper, Joe Balaguer, Balaguer Guitars, Wayne Hussey from The Mission, and Luke Hobbs from Gardner Holgate Guitar Auctions.
And do you know what? Thinking back over every time you mention a name there, I was taken back to the chat, and all of those were great chats. I think it was it Crimson we spoke to
First.
chronologically? Yeah.
Yes.
So that one's probably going to come next, and then in whatever order they fell. Obviously, if you were at the guitar show last year, you may have seen Daisy play because she played the live stage on the Sunday, I think.
She did.
So you may have seen her, and then the Wayne Hussey one was just a complete quirk. That one.
I was mad. He was in Brazil.
Yeah.
Really cool. So and let's get more done so we don't stop and start.
Well, we've got a long time. We can put it off for a little bit. We've got a long time before these run through. One a fortnight for what have you. But it's going to come round quick if we're not careful. We're scrabbling around in November going, oh, grief. we said we were organised and we haven't got another one for next week.
I know.
Oh, dear. Right, well, I'll leave you to your afternoon. It's lovely to see you.
And you.
And it's great to be back, isn't it?
It is.
Thanks for listening to 9 to 42, the podcast from the team at the Guitar Show UK. If you've enjoyed the show, then please remember to hit the subscribe button and share with other like-minded souls. For more information about 9 to 42, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram at the Guitar Show UK. This has been an A Short Stories production.